So in this video, we're going to be going over getting started with a mix, working with that space a little bit better, and then getting into panning. So the first thing I do once I bring all my stems in, and you'll get to practice this with your own song in term 2, is I make sense of it all. So I'll go and group all the leads. Okay, just pressing Command G and rename that group to lead. We've got some pads here. Group, Command R, pads. You might notice some actually don't have any audio in them. The way to check this, just to double check it, is to really boost that clip volume. And if you still can't see a waveform, you're okay to delete it. And then I've got some drums. Okay, so let's get the drums all together. Shaker, snares, cabassa, claps, hi-hats, and kick. Okay, so I'll leave the kick out of my group. It's something that I commonly do so that I can process them differently. This will make more sense once we get into processing. It allows us to balance them a little bit better. And then finally, I'll group my two bass lines. Cool. And I mean, the rest is up to you, and how you group those is totally up to you as well. But I kind of like to have my kick and my drums and my bass on the bottom, and then kind of just work up in terms of frequencies. So pads or chords, and then leads, and then incidental white noise effect stuff up the top. Okay, so I've made it a little bit easier to work with again. And now once everything is mixed, I'll be able to just work with kind of like 5 tracks instead of 15 or whatever there were. So assuming I've done my first step that we went over last week, which was putting utility on all of the tracks, turning them down, and then getting everything balanced the way I like it. Assuming I'd already done that, we've now got to make a decision for where sounds should be in the stereo field. So the stereo field exists because we have 2 ears and because we use 2 speakers. And that allows us to simply just place sounds to the left, so they hit our left ear first, and then we perceive them on the left, or to the right, so they hit our right ear first, and we think they're on the right. But what this does is it creates an illusion of space in your song, and it is by far the quickest and easiest way to achieve clarity. It's all I've got to do is that, and bang, a potential problem, say a vocal and a snare, are out of the way of each other. So it's much quicker than EQing, and it's so quick and so effective, and that's why I'm such a big fan of it. Okay, on arrangement view, the pan pots are these guys here. So L means left, R means right. 50R it's called hard panned to the right. 50L is hard panned to the left. That's the furthest you can go. And if we just pick a random one, say the snare, you can see that when I do that, all of a sudden, all the volume is happening on the left channel. So that's channel number 1, and the right channel is channel number 2. So every stereo file will actually have a slight difference, and you can see that between the left and the right. So we can control that or use that to our advantage if we like. Some files, which are not stereo, will be exactly the same. And you can see that there. They're exactly the same. Similar to this clap, it looks pretty similar. But this guy, yep, the snare again. It's a little bit louder on the right hand side, so we could make that even just by doing that, or we can start to really work with our mix. But let's take a step back and have a listen to the mix first to see what we want to do, because the hardest part about panning is not actually doing it. You can see how easy it is. It's coming up with the idea of where to place each instrument. So where to start, the tricky part. Okay, let's start with, first of all, I'm just going to play the song. Then I'm going to do a bunch of panning, and we're going to hear the difference. And then we'll jump into what I was actually thinking. So let's have a go just from the main part. Already I can hear there's a lot more space in the middle because I've taken the pads which have a lot of frequencies from all the way down to the low frequencies to the high frequencies, and I've put them out of the way. I've given them their own space by taking 2 of them to the left and 2 of them to the right, or 1 to the right. Individually they sound like that, and now they sound like they're completely out of the way of the middle. And the main reason I do that is because I want my bass line in the middle, my kick drum in the middle, and if I was to have a vocal, I'd probably put it there too. So if we now bring this in, there's lots of clarity. And a bigger space. So I always try and get my chords out of the middle because I think of them as like a blanket of frequencies taking up so much space, whereas they can do the exact same job but on the sides. So that's number 1. And then I usually try and get a lot of my higher drum frequencies, so pretty much anything but besides the kick, out of dead center, because again, the shaker, there's a snare build, this snare, these all have high frequencies. And for example, my leads or the high frequencies of my synthesizer or my vocal need those frequencies, in my opinion, a little bit more than the drums do here. So by getting them out of the middle, not only can I hear these sounds clearer, but it also leaves the space for traditionally in a pop context what would be more important, such as the leads and the vocals. Again, this all kind of comes down to your genre. So let's have a listen to how I would then pan the drums. Let's give it a go. Let's see, as I pan, let's see if it opens up. And then I'll run you through my thought process. And I might just boost that shake, it was a little low. And you can see now that I've set my input with utility, or imaginary, that what I did last week, I'm now free to use these faders, okay? I don't want you to think that you can't use them. It's just that when we're getting our input volumes right, we're not bringing these down to adjust that. We're using utility at the start to set that input volume. Say like this. Okay, and it's where I want it to be. Maybe I'll boost it up a little bit. Oh, it's on the wrong channel. And once I've got it sitting at the right level, I'll then use my faders to fine tune it. Just a little revision of last week. Okay, so that's the drum beat. And there's actually quite a lot going on that we're probably not aware of because we can't hear them. There's this, which is a little quiet in the mix as well. We should have done a little mix to get started. And there's also this little cabassa, but I'm pretty much only hearing an offbeat and a snare. So I can get a lot more clarity again by putting, say if this is playing 16th notes, I can then take this hi-hat, which is playing 16th notes, put it on the other side. That way I've still got a balanced mix. Okay, that's why I'm such a big fan of hard panning again, because I get all those frequencies out of the way. And I get heaps of clarity in my drums, and I get heaps of clarity in my bass lines, high frequencies on my synthesizers. So let's think about this cabasso now. I could actually put that on the left as well with the shaker, and it's really just mimicking that. If I bring in, what else have I got? The snare. Put that maybe to a little bit to the left, and the clap a little bit to the right. And I'm taking up a lot of space now in my drums. And then maybe the build's right in the middle. So I'll undo all this, and then we'll have a listen in context to whether it increases the clarity of the drums and the whole song. So let's have a listen. That lead really starts to shine through really clearly when those drums are out of there. So it becomes pretty obvious that it really improves your clarity, and you can see how easy it is to do. So it's probably the quickest thing you can do to improve your clarity, and the easiest. All right, see you next time.